It's hard to look away from me. I can't blame you for being captivated by this handsome face. I mean, who wouldn't be mesmerized by this charm and charisma? He spoke innocently. Mine broke into laughter. She moved closer to him. So self-obsessed. It's not like I have not seen any other handsome face. She leaned on the cabinet, still not taking her eyes off him. Really? Tell me one name. He turned down the flame on the stove and shifted his attention to her, trapping her between his arms. Mark. She encircled her arms around his neck and said teasingly, "You have a death wish for him," he muttered furiously, holding her jaw. 𝐼𝐴𝐭𝐻 shaking her head in denial. "Just kidding, no one is or can be as handsome as you," she said in a state of trance, trailing her fingers on his face softly. He smiled, holding her hand. "What were you thinking?" "Nothing, just..." She stopped and lowered her gaze. He held her chin and lifted her face. "What?" She wet her lips before speaking. "It's not just one thing. I feel bad for Blakely. This guilt is eating me inside. What I have done to her is unforgivable, yet she forgave me. She has such a beautiful heart," she said in a low tone. "What's more," she clenched her fist, but then held her hand. "Stop doing this and speak. I think you deserve better than me. I am not capable enough for you. I'm just childish, immature, impulsive, and obsessed," she muttered without meeting his gaze. "Why do you test my patience?" He sneaked his arm around her waist and pulled her closer. "I want this childish, immature, impulsive, and obsessed girl to eat my brain for the rest of my life." He kissed her temple. Wine smiled faintly. "Why did you suspend Blakely?" "I won't spare anyone who causes harm to my wife." He shrugged his shoulders. "But I picked the fight with her. She didn't." He nodded. "I know she would never do something like that because she needs to stay fine for her family, but she did hate you first with the books. Even if it was mistakenly and I'm being unfair, I can't help it." Wine's eyes glistened with tears. She fell into the depths of embarrassment. "If those tears come out, I won't be any good to you." "Thank you so much. Despite my every mistake and fault, you don't hate me." Wine enveloped him in a tight hug. "Everyone makes mistakes, but that doesn't change how much I care about you. Your faults don't define you in my eyes." He gently rubbed her back. Both of them were silently clinging onto each other. Then Thames spoke. "Let's eat so we can go home. Everyone is worried about you." She nodded and pulled out. Time skip. They arrived at Thames' house. Mrs. Kim and Liana were waiting for them. Why did you go without informing us? Were you sick?" Mrs. Kim said as soon as she saw them. "Why did you go? This fool must have told you something," she said, glaring at Thames, who scratched his neck nervously. "No, Mom, he didn't do anything. Liana cut in. "Leave it, Mom. Wine is fine, that matters." She yawned, coming towards Wine. "Let's sleep." She wrapped her hands around Wine's shoulder. "Move away, why are you clinging?" Then slapped Liana's hands. "Mom, see, Wine hasn't even come yet and brother changed." Mrs. Kim smacked her on the head. Wine shook her head. "Where is the doggy?" "He's asleep in my room, let's go." She held Wine's hand. "Wait, why would Wine sleep in your room?" "In the past days, when you weren't here, we would sleep in the guest room because she's scared of Sunny." "Call it doggy, Sunny sounds weird." They began bickering, but Thame cut in while Mrs. Kim shook her head and sat. "But now I'm back, so Wine will sleep in my room." "No need, she won't come to your room unless you get married again. For now, Wine will sleep in the guest room. I have cleaned it for her and shifted all her belongings there." "But Mom, she's still my wife," he whined. Liana sticked out her tongue at him. "That was in childhood. It doesn't even make sense." She repeated his words. Wine chuckled only to earn a glare from him. "By the way, Mom, is Grandpa asleep?" "Yes, I gave him the medicines or else he wouldn't sleep." She just nodded. Liana bid them good night and walked to her room. "Then I'll go to sleep." "Sure, and dear son, please come to my room. We have to talk." Mrs. Kim made her way to her bedroom. Wine turned around to walk to the guest room, but Thame blocked her way. "You can't just escape, Mrs. Kim. Give me a good night kiss." She raised her brows. "Someone will see us," she said, looking around. He pulled her closer. "Who cares? You're my wife. We can do anything." He shrugged his shoulders. "Come on, Mom is waiting for me. Be quick." softly on the lips. Before Theon could react, she ran to the guest room. Theon smiled, shaking his head, and walked to Mrs. King''s room. Wine closed the door behind and placed her hand on her chest. Her heartbeat raced wildly. She smiled, biting her lips. How beautiful was the feeling of having someone who is just yours. The feeling of being loved was so heartwarming. She shook her thoughts and made her way to freshen up. After a few minutes, she came out and locked on the bed without noticing the lights were switched off. She closed her eyes, snuggling into the pillow, when she heard a voice. Is it comfortable? She nodded with closed eyes. Too comfortable. Seems like you're quite tired. He said, moving closer to her. Wine was too sleepy to notice his presence. Yeah, too much. Sleep tight. Good night. Good night. Wine jolted up with wide eyes and stared at him in disbelief. What happened? He asked with a smile. What are you doing here? How did you come here? I came by the door. He pointed at the door. How could I sleep knowing my wife was under the same roof as me? He pulled her towards him. Wine tried to move away, but he tightened his grip. What if someone sees us here? She spoke hurriedly. No one will see us here. The door is locked, and I'll go back to my room before sunrise. She let out a sigh of relief. That's okay then, she said, snuggling close to him. Good night. Good night, he mumbled, kissing her crown. Few days later, it's been a few days since Wine is in Kim's house, and her mom is continuously calling her and pressuring her to divorce Theon. All this while she had a therapy session. The Wine was lost in her thoughts when she heard a sudden commotion and made her way out. Her eyes widened, seeing Mrs. Yoon with corpse. Arrest them, they have kidnapped my daughter, she said furiously. What is this, Mom? What are you doing? Wine said, coming forward. Wine, are you okay? Did they do something to you? She asked, worriedly gazing her head to toe. What? Of course I'm fine. Mrs. Yoon has filed a case against you all for kidnapping her daughter. You must go with us. Wine trembled, glaring at her mom. Do you have evidence against us? Wine didn't notice his response. When did he come? She couldn't help but think. Wine is my wife. Why would I kidnap her? Wine avoided glancing at Grandpa and Mrs. Kim. Once more she fell into the depths of embarrassment. He's lying. What is the proof she's your wife? Theon was staring at her deadly. Wine clenched her fist, sticking her nails into her palm. We need proof. Theon nodded and walked away. After a few moments, he came back with a file, handing it to the officer and stood next to Wine. Why don't you have a glance at our marriage certificate, mother-in-law? He emphasized mother-in-law. This might be fake. These people are just scams. Theon refrained himself from speaking anything harsh. Why would you say this, Mrs. Yoon? You are the witness to their marriage as well. Stop lying. I'll take away my daughter. She was about to hold Wine's hand, but Wine stepped back and held Theon's hand. Stop your drama, Mom. I'm not going anywhere. She shifted her gaze to the officer. Sir, my mom is just creating a scene. As you can see, I'm lawfully married. Mom has some misunderstandings. We'll sort it out. You may leave. She spoke politely. Mrs. Yoon stared at her in disbelief. Ma'am, next time don't waste our time on your personal problems. Rather sort it yourself. He passed her a glare and walked out. Theon's lips curled into a little smile, causing Mrs. Yoon to boil in rage. Wine cut in. Stop it, Mom. I'll talk to you alone. Theon walked away to answer the call as his phone rang. She turned to Mrs. Kim. I'm sorry, Mom. She held her hands and said in a low tone. Mrs. Kim shook her head. You don't have to be sorry, she said with a smile. Wine crouched down to Grandpa and opened her mouth to speak, but Grandpa shook his head and spoke. Don't apologize, woman. I'm proud of you. My decision was not wrong. You are the best for my grandson. Wine faintly smiled and hugged him. Thank you, Grandpa. She broke the hug while Mrs. Yoon rolled her eyes. Come with me, Mom. She stood and said, walking towards the guest room. Mrs. Yoon closed the door as soon as they entered. What's wrong with you, Wine? Are you under some kind of spell? This is not you, she said, holding her by shoulders. Wine moved away her hands. I'm totally fine. I just don't understand what's wrong with you, Mom. Why can't you see my happiness? I don't want to divorce him. I had said it to you before returning here, yet you're forcing me. Mrs. Yoon stepped forward. Listen, Wine, Theon is not suitable for you. But Wine got in. Please, Mom. I'm happy shimmered, lowering her gaze and waiting for him to lash out.